Dabo Swinney is on a mission to expose a pretty big problem in college football. And it all goes back to this guy right here. This is Luke Farrelly. He was a Cal linebacker who decided he wanted to move on. He went into the transfer portal, ultimately decided to go to Clemson for an NIL deal of $1 million. Luke Farrelly even enrolled in classes at Clemson, was actually sitting in his 8 a.m. class when he got a text from Pete Golding offering to match his NIL deal if he were to go to Ole Miss. Now at this point, he wasn't even in the transfer portal, and at first he said no, but then Pete Golding kept texting him, eventually offering to double his offer and give him $2 million to go to Ole Miss. And that is when Dabo then had a press conference calling out Pete Golding by name, saying that they were tampering, which if Luke Farrelly was not in the transfer portal, and he wasn't in the transfer portal at that point, and Pete Golding was texting him trying to recruit him, that is a textbook case of tampering. At that press conference, Dabo laid out everything. He laid out the date for when Luke Farrelly first signed for Clemson, when he first enrolled in classes at Clemson, and when he got his first text from Ole Miss. Dabo also said that the Clemson GM called the Ole Miss GM, and the Ole Miss GM said that he wasn't personally contacting Luke Farrelly, but that Pete Golding was going to do what Pete Golding does. Dabo even said that there is tampering and there is blatant tampering, and this is an example of the blatant tampering. He also said that we have a broken system. If there's no consequences for tampering, then we have no rules and we have no governance. There's a little funny side part to this story, and that's that Luke Farrelly's agent actually offered to show Dabo and send Dabo the text from Pete Golding proving that there was tampering if Clemson would match the Ole Miss offer of $2 million, and Clemson turned that down. Dude, we've gotten to a point where players are now extorting coaches for more money to turn over evidence that another team was cheating. Now, this is not the first instance of blatant tampering that we have seen during this transfer portal cycle. We had Damon Williams, who re-signed for Washington, but then a few days later announced he was going to go to LSU, when he was never in the transfer portal until he announced where he was going. And Darian Mensah, who re-signed for Duke, but then announced he was going to go to Miami, and again, he wasn't in the transfer portal when that was announced. Now, in Damon Williams' case, Washington actually sued him, and he decided he wasn't going to fight a legal battle, and he was just going to play at Washington this year. For Mensah, Duke is currently suing him, meaning he can't sign with another school and he can't sign an NIL deal or enroll in classes until that is settled, but he hasn't backed down. He is taking this to court, or at least it looks like that right now. Now, in both Washington and Duke's case, we haven't seen the coaches come out and say anything negative about the other schools that are doing this, and it's more than likely because they're doing the same thing. Sure, they're on the wrong side of it right now, but if they have a chance to tamper and get a better quarterback in the future, they're going to take that. Dabo, however, is different. Dabo does not like the transfer portal. He really doesn't use the transfer portal, and he's been very clear that he wants the transfer portal eliminated. If Dabo already doesn't like the transfer portal and now you're having tampering, Dabo's definitely going to make a fuss about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Dabo has a point in that these coaches that are obviously tampering should get hit with sanctions? Or do you think that coaches should be able to talk to players that are not in the transfer portal to offer them bigger bags and let the players get the bag? And of course, don't forget to like and follow if you like college football content.